Canada Cup was just kind of like considered one of the quote smaller events and everything like that. But now it's like one of the biggest events that takes place during the course of the year. And, you know, that's through a lot of effort on LabG's part, a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and it's turned into something gigantic. I just think LabG's just done an amazing job taking the tournament to, you know, to the next level.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's BornFree here. I am here at Canada Cup 2017 with the main man, tournament organizer, legendary Blanka player, LabG. How are you, man?
Oh, great. Yourself?
I'm all right. Yeah, I have like 3 hours sleep. I think everyone's the same. They've all just flown in and wherever they've been, and everyone's super excited. But I'm amazed at the amount of players here. This is like the last premiere, right?
Yes, it's the last premiere event. Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it's a huge deal. By the time this video comes out, everyone will have known what happened, but there's definitely an opportunity for an upset, I think. I want to ask you about Canada Cup first and foremost, right? And then we'll talk a little bit about you. But Canada Cup, how did that start and why?
Well, Canada Cup started, what was it? Our first event was 2010. And the reason why we started was I see so many majors out there, and Canada doesn't really have like a big one. They had like some regionals, like I think the T Series and Montreal SF. And I thought, well, you know what? Since I enjoy the game so much and since I'm a huge fan, why not try to bring it to a whole new level and showcase our Canadian players, because they don't get a whole lot of showcasing out there, you know, and just bring the fight back to Canada. So yeah, we in 2010 decided to put the first Canada Cup together. Flew in, you know, some players, Daigo, Justin, you know, Mago, you know, Gutex and Mike Ross, and that's how it all began. And that was kind of the first stepping stone to kind of showcase the Canadian FGC. And from there, every year we started adding, testing new things, and that's where we become where we are today.
So you initially invested in bringing talent in so that it would get the eyes of the world on Canada Cup like 7 years ago when you first started.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what we did. We invested, flew in players, and yeah, used up a lot of time and resources. But in order to get Canada Cup to where it is today, yeah, well, I work as a real estate investor, yeah. So I have always had extra funds. Some stuff you have to write off, so you have to take a loss on, and Canada Cup was one of those. So that's pretty much what I did. Threw in money, and nowadays we don't have to invest our own money in. It's profitable. It's not like crazy profit. A lot of people out there I heard think that we make like 50, 60,000 or something like that. Like, but no, we're nowhere close to that. We may be lucky to make $1 or $2 an hour for every hour we put in as a director. But yeah, that's where we are today, and hopefully soon enough, it's gonna be better than that.
All right, so this is my first Canada Cup, right? I've watched it on stream, and I've always thought there was a special atmosphere going on, but I can't pinpoint what it is. What do you feel is different about Canada Cup? What is it you trying to create here that you feel is different from other tournaments?
Well, Canadian hospitality is slightly different. I'm not sure. I still haven't been to a lot of events, but I feel they're more welcoming here. And a lot of players came up to me. We've tried every city, Calgary, Toronto, and even Vancouver. And they feel more hospitable Canadian here. We're not leaving you just to walk around by yourself. We'll shake hands. We'll say thank you for coming. And maybe that's one. And I feel people here have generally more of a fun time, a bit of a smile on. It's not really hardcore focus and I must win. People come here to hang out, okay, as well as have a good time. That's what we do. Canadians like to have a good time in many different ways. Drinking, being a nice guy, saying sorry for everything. That's what we do here. And also, we're always trying to create something different. So with our staff, we always try to be nice, professional. And then hopefully that rubs up on everybody else and rubs up on the players as well. And that's why I feel a lot of them like to come back.
I actually do think it has rubbed off on them. I'm not kidding at all. Like, I actually do think it has rubbed off on them. I've never felt more welcome. And it's not because of you necessarily. It's because of something's going around. I can't explain it. Something's going around and everyone's smiling at each other and everyone's like super nice. So it's, yeah, definitely got that Canadian feel to it. Now, talking of Canadian feel, talking about Canadian FGC. What are your thoughts on the Canadian FGC? Like, obviously with a tournament like this, you're trying to foster players and the community and all that sort of stuff. Do you think they're stronger than most people realize? Do you think there are certain things they need to do to get stronger, and what are those?
Well, Canadian FGC is, we're a pretty small country here, but it's very spread wide, and we did very well the few years that we had Canada Cup. I see a lot of Canadians travel, and it's really hard to do well in like the US. It's very hostile in some tournaments. And Canadian, I feel they do a lot better in Canada. Like, there was a few times, 5v5, we OCV Team USA one year, and then OCV Team Europe one year. Almost OCV Team Europe, and we do pretty well in Canada. But for Canada Cup, there's just so much. It's so stacked where it's really hard to do well, and especially with the new game, a lot of the so-called OGs that played all the old games, it's really hard to adapt to the new ones. It's just completely different from like Street Fighter 4 or Super Turbo. But I feel there's a scene here. They're stepping up. The young bloods are coming in. The last tournament, I think I saw Northern Arena. There was 4 Canadians and 4 of the top Americans. We'd send them all to losers. Okay. Like Justin, Knuckle Dew, everybody. But the young blood, I think, need a bit more experience, because when you win one, you kind of, I don't know if you lose focus or you just be repetitive. But they came back and won. The U.S. afterwards. But I think there's a lot of talent, and it's growing. And as long as we continue hosting tournaments for something for them to look forward to, I think they're going to continue to grow and hopefully, win a Canada Cup. That's my dream. If a Canadian wins a Canada Cup, I will cry and say, I did it! Yes! But that's one day, hopefully, to come. But it's near impossible to even get out of pools nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's a different game, but yeah, it sounds to me like you are certainly helping to foster, these players. But perhaps they need to do a little bit more traveling. That's obviously easier said than done. But I want to ask you about the teams, because that has always been associated with Canada Cup, right? What is your tell me about teams. What does that mean to you?
Oh, teams is pretty important. I see a lot of other tournaments trying teams, and it's completely different from how we do it. It's kind of like, when you play singles, you're just representing yourself. But when you're playing as a team, there's country pride on the line. So you represent your country. And according to some players, I hear it stresses them out in a different way. Because you're Team USA now. You're not just representing. If you lose, fine. But now you're representing USA. If you lose to Canada or you lose to like Japan and stuff, which you don't want to lose to any other country, it's very intense, I feel. And then we were able to make the 5v5 different. It's just building it up, making it more intense. Also, a lot of the players really enjoy representing their country. And they get heartbroken if they lose more than like singles, just because you're working together as a team. You have team energy, and you need to like work together for your country. You feel like you're not just letting yourself down; you're letting your team down and your country down. Right. So it's slightly different, and we're trying to make it better. The last, what was it, 2014? We didn't really do. 2015, We didn't do teams that well, but 16 and 17 and moving forward, we're gonna make that our primary, most important, country versus country.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about the future of Canada Cup. So it sounds like that's a big deal. I'm actually kind of surprised that more people don't do it. What else, like when you think about Canada Cup in the future, where do you see it? Like, what's the vision?
Oh, that's so tough. There are wishes of what we want to do. I found out last year that our last event we have a slightly more viewers than an average hockey game. Oh. Yeah, and hockey is kind of big in Canada.
Yeah.
And if there was a possibility, if we in the future, our goal, if we ever had more attendees, well, it's very hard to have that many Street Fighter player attendees. But the stream-wise, so many people like to watch it. If possible, if we're able to get more than like a Stanley Cup final views, that would be crazy. That would be like a goal where you could really feel good about yourself and your company where it went. Yeah, and hopefully we'll get there one day. But if it gets there, then we'll hopefully, most important, we just always need to connect with the locals because they support us the most, and without them, it's really hard to move forward. But yeah, that would be like a big achievement, and that's something I would wish for. But realistically, the growth rate for the FGC may be 15% a year if you're growing, depending if the games come out. I saw a lot of tournaments kind of lost attendance slightly. Okay. And
there's a lot of tournaments right now.
This year, I think only one tournament didn't lose attendance, Combo Breaker. Okay. That's it. We're waiting to see at the end of this weekend how many passes we sell. We're borderline of probably being the same number, or hopefully we have an improvement. And yeah, but people are just burnt out. There's just so many tournaments out there right now. So many.
There's way more tournaments this year than ever has been before. We said oversaturation has negative connotations, so we're already leading there. So but my question is, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How do you feel about the state of the FGC right now in terms of number of tournaments?
Well, I'm going to say it's a great time to be a player. Well, you can pick and choose your tournaments. Even as a player, for tournaments to get you there, they possibly have to give tournament fees, appearance fees, and yeah, it's just great to be a player. There's just they went from a very dark spot to I'm living better than better than any other year type of thing. But for tournaments, it has an opposite effect because people get burnt out a lot. Even players get burnt out. I was sad to see Snake Eyes was supposed to attend, and then the last minute, and I don't blame him for it. The last minute, I think he just I just need a break. I just can't type of thing, and which is kind of back then, getting to a tournament was very difficult, and nowadays there's so many tournaments trying to get your attention and fly you down that it is very tough for tournaments to be profitable. It's not just being profitable. Breaking even is already a problem. Big companies coming in, throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars, great production, everything, just to get a small piece of the pie. And they got to continue throwing in for a while. And what it does to tournaments like us is that if you're not a top-notch tournament that everyone's talking about and everybody is making sure that it's on the calendar to come, that you're going to start losing your percentage, your market share, I guess you call it. So for us, we're going to have to see what's going to happen next year, because even in Toronto this year, there was, Cineplex is a big tournament, that's from World Gaming, and Northern Arena, Red Bull is in here. Back 2 years ago, it was just Canada Cup and maybe Toryuken rankings event, but there's 4 or 5 major events with lots of prize money out there and in the same city. So we don't know what to do. All we know is like continue your job, do it best, and hopefully players will come. And yeah, we just got to plug away and see what happens.
I mean, where do you see it going?
Well, here's how I kind of see it. It is there's a certain amount of players, and that player base is not growing as fast as tournaments are growing. So everybody takes a piece of market share, and everyone needs to take a loss. And how it would work is it would be less profitable and a bad ROI for new companies coming in, or if they lasted the drought, then they would be there in the long term. I feel that there's companies and tournaments that are going to stop running just because nobody wants to invest $300,000 to just get like 10,000 viewers. And how long are you going to do that? You could do it for like your second year, your third year, but you're going to get tired, and then you're probably going to pull away. And because of the saturation, it actually hurts everybody. Realistically, it just takes away everybody's share of like your yearly tournament. So that's my prediction. I don't know, but with so much money coming in, all the pro players are going to be at those events until they're burnt out. And I can't believe like guys like Justin Wong is flying twice a week to go to 2 tournaments a week, and he's still not burnt out. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully the market corrects itself, and the people that really want to stay in will be in, and then it'll filter out or people that are just coming in just because they want to make money off esports. So
okay, yeah. So it'll figure itself out. It sounds like. It's talking about being a TO, right? Because you were saying to me as we were walking up the stairs, you said to me, it's hard. So can you tell me, like, it's been, I guess you've been a TO for 7 years, at least for Canada Cup. What is it that you've learned about being, that makes you a good TO? And what are some of the mistakes that people make when they first start out that they could perhaps, young aspiring TOs out there could try to avoid?
Well, TOing is very difficult. Most important is when you put together a tournament, don't overcalculate. Don't predict 100 people are going to come and put that into your budget and put it into your profit where all the money goes. You always have to undercalculate nowadays. 30% less than what you think. That helps out a lot. From TOing so many years, something we do very differently that we're going to let out is that back then we used to fly everybody down. And Canada Cup 2010, 11, 12, and 13, we flew down teams of 5 from every country. And that's out of our own dime. That's not cheap whatsoever. We realized, we have the exposure, and most importantly is the hospitality. Work on your hospitality. Now, instead of always flying players down, if your hospitality level is high, they will come down themselves. And allocating your budget towards hospitality is probably something we do very good at, and hopefully other TOs will do it as well. We have the after party. Flying one person down from Asia is $1,500. But if you could spend that $1,500 on an after party, or buying some beers, on making people feel welcome, it's very changing. They feel this is why I want to come to Canada Cup. We're here to hang out. These Canadians, they're nice, they can drink, and and that's how we want the players to view us as. Having fun, having a great time. Win or lose, it's still going to be a great time. We don't want players to come to a tournament where they have to win, and if they don't win, they sulk in their room. And that's the end of the trip, and they're never going to have a fun time. So work on hospitality. From my years of learning how we're able to get so many internationals there is everybody is important to us. And you have to answer that question when you're running a tournament. Yeah.
So it's more than just a tournament, it's making sure that people have a good time. not just playing, but like the atmosphere and the hospitality. All right, let's talk about you. Let's start from the beginning. What's your favorite Street Fighter game?
It would probably be Street Fighter, between Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 2 World Warrior.
Okay.
And I just really liked 4 just because I could get in so many games. Back then, Street Fighter 2, you had to wait at arcade. You have to knew all the secrets, all the magic throws and handcuff moves. But Street Fighter 4 and 2 is definitely my favorite.
So it seems like Street Fighter 4 is very important to you because it's billed highly here. You've got players being sponsored. R Salty has sponsored Pepper Day and Mark Teddy to come over and play Street Fighter 4. Is that a very personal thing for you? Like, it's my favorite game and therefore I want it, or do you just want a broad representation of all the Street Fighter games? Like, what's the story?
Well, we want to represent all games because all games are important to us. I do have a passion for Street Fighter 4 because it makes me feel very happy when I go to a tournament and place a lot better than I should place. But for me, we enjoy the moments when we're playing Street Fighter 4. I suppose Street Fighter 5 is going to be similar because it needs to create a history and it needs to create fun times and saltiness and happiness. But Street Fighter 4 for us was a good 8-year run, was it? I think it was 7-year run, and I really like playing it, especially when you play such a low-tier character like Blanka and you place well and you're able to beat some pro players, and even Japanese are placing well in like tournaments like Tokyo Game Show. That it means something. All the hard work. So I'm just not a businessman and a father. I'm able to come in and play with the gamers. Shake them up, and that makes me happy. And that's why I still play it. And I'm in this year's tournament. I was speaking with Pepper Day, and I trolled him. Me and you gotta play first in the bracket. He's like, no, because he says the only person he doesn't want to play is me. But Blanka is actually you win that match. But I like seeing stuff like that. Like I could troll pro players. It's an awesome time for me anyways. Yeah, playing that game, and I'll still probably play it for the next bit. I'm glad we bring it back. This is probably the biggest Street Fighter 4 tournament this year, and this is pretty stacked. So the revival for every game. We're a retro revival tournament too.
Yeah, well, why not? It's the 30th anniversary, so and a lot of those players, who have a long history with Street Fighter 4, look incredibly happy when they're playing it. So that's always a fun thing to see. I got to ask you, why Blanka? Everyone hates Blanka. Why Blanka?
It's because you hate Blanka. I don't want to play a solid player. I need to troll. That's my personality. If you play a character that fits your personality, you could probably play it very well. If you're a very solid, grounded person that needs to play technical footsies, well, pick a different character that has that, But me, I'm a big troll, if you know me, especially when we go for a few beers. And I could play my personality out in a game. That would be Blanka. And that's why I selected him. I tried so many characters. And at the end, I went back to Blanka. I was like, yes, this is it. And people really hate losing to me, especially in a round. And they feel like I get under the skin, and they start losing. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point of playing Blanka.
When you said you played a lot of different characters, did you, before you came to Blanka, was that in Street Fighter 2 or is that in Street Fighter 4 or both? Or
I was playing Street Fighter 2 as Guile, charge characters.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, and then in Street Fighter 4, I tried most of the cast, at least half the cast, I tried for a while because Blanka was not winning. And then I realized it wasn't Blanka needs to win, it's just me that needs to win with Blanka. And how you do that, you need to find a way to just get under people's skin. I know I don't need to taunt, but everybody knows when certain moves I do, you get under his skin, and there's being mind fucked. Anyways, I don't know if I could say that. Anyways,
it's my channel.
Oh yeah, great. My whole entire purpose is to mind fuck people, and then right when I get under the skin, they cannot recover. And that's what I need to do with the game to play. So I don't have to practice as much as all these pro players that do like 8 hours a day. I just need to practice like a little bit and just how to get under people's skin to make them not play how they should play. And that does well. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work at all. But hey, I'm so happy even if I got my way.
What was what's your proudest moment with Blanka?
Oh, there's a couple here. Let's say there's 3 quick ones. Okay. When I played Blanka, I flew to Toronto, and they had a qualifier to be on Team Canada in Toronto. I flew and I won that for myself. So I went on Team Canada myself. Well, I proved it. And then when I went on Team Canada, that was the year we OCV'd Team USA. I OCV'd Team Canada too. So I was really happy about that. Other than that, I placed top 8 in my tournament without the brackets being rigged. They gave me the hardest ones. I beat F Champ in a tournament match, and he beats every Blanka. There's no Blanka that can beat him. Yeah, I beat him in a tournament match. I was pretty happy. But probably my proudest moment was top 9 in a Tokyo Game Show, where it was completely stacked. And I had to play Bonchan, but there was a single elimination too. I had to play Bonchan, but I lost. But I was really happy to get there because all the Americans, I placed higher than all the Americans, all the North Americans. Yeah, I was the highest placing foreigner in that tournament.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was lucky maybe.
No, it really is amazing because it's not until recently maybe that the Americans, Europeans, whoever, it's been very hard to go to Japan and win in Japan. So that's really impressive. We're gonna have to Google it. I'm gonna have to Google it. But
yeah, no, I got lucky because I saw the fear in some of the Japanese players that had stress, so I took advantage of it and just completely unpredictable. Yeah, it was completely unpredictable, which really changed the way they play, which I controlled some of it, which was nice for me, which I did on a very bad hangover, but hey, that was great.
Sounds like Blanka's your guy. So, talking of characters, do you play Street Fighter 5?
Yeah, I play some Rashid. I'm not the best, but yes, I do play a little bit.
If Blanka came back into Street Fighter 5, would that excite you?
Well, yes and no. I always wanted him back just because, he's a trolley character, and hopefully if he does come back, he still fits in that type of gameplay. But the only reason why I don't play Street Fighter 5 so much is because when you already put, let's say for example, I think I calculated like 30 or 40,000 games into Street Fighter 4, and then for you to get back to that level, you actually have to put 30 to 40,000 games back into Street Fighter 5. But unfortunately, after having family, 2 kids, running business, and recession in a city like Calgary, I have to allocate more time to do more things, or else I would play Street Fighter 5 a bit more. Also, I can't play Street Fighter 5 in my own tournament, but yeah, which kind of sucks. So I have to fly to other tournaments. But I've been spending more time, with family, and of course, Street Fighter 4. All I have to do is brush up, maybe play like 2-3 times a week for like half an hour, and your skill's still there. But Street Fighter 5, to compete with everybody in order to win a tournament or even get top 8, you have to put those hours in. And currently, I just don't have those hours, so I can't. Yeah, I can't play as much anymore, unfortunately.
I hear you. I think a lot of people out there will understand that. Actually, I did want to ask you: do you play any other fighting games?
Used to play all the fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom, Vampire Savior. What else did I play here? I think mainly I'm the type of guy that just wants to just play one game and be best at it instead of playing casually. There's a lot of people out there that like to play casual. I just play for fun. Me, I'm a bit competitive, so I play just to win, and I keep on trying to touch up on my skills. So yeah, mainly just Street Fighter. I played some King of Fighters back in the day, Samurai Showdowns, like everybody else would. But Street Fighter was the one I just completely focused on because I wanted to get somewhere with it for a while. Yeah.
That makes sense. I get that. It's not all of us can be Sonic Fox or Taquido, or even Taquido's playing one game now.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit more broadly about Street Fighter V and its current state and what's coming. Initially it released. This is no secret. It released pretty bare bones, and now we've got like this arcade edition coming, and we've had these very interesting characters this season. How do you feel about it in terms of how it's evolving? Has anything caught your eye? Just give me your thoughts.
Well, I think Street Fighter 5 is consistently improving. They're listening to all the players and any complaints. Hopefully, the next season is going to come out that they have the characters they release have a huge fan bases. I feel you always have to bring back the original 8 or 12. You have to, because they have huge fan bases.
That's the businessman in you.
They have such huge fan bases. You're gonna sell more. I mean, the last release, I think it was Zeku, and I did some research to see who Zeku was. I wasn't too sure, but he seems like a fun character, but he doesn't have a fan base. Yeah. So a lot of the players that are already playing the game casually are having fun. They will test them out and have some fun. But I feel those are already for the player base as of right now, because Zeku's not going to bring in anybody new. If you brought in Sagat sooner, probably they will, or Honda, or Blanka, or any of them, they may immediately bring down a certain percentage of fans back in immediately to buy the game, or just to even buy the DLC and upgrade. It's just how I look at it, and I think that's most important. They may take some time. Eventually, they may, hopefully, but that's something you gotta bring in. Even Street Fighter 4 with there's so many characters there where players are just a one-player character, like Rose or like anybody, that it's gonna have an effect in Street Fighter 5. I feel if I had the power to like do something, that's the first thing I would do, is maybe release double characters, Blanka and somebody new. But for now, original 8, original 12 needs to be in there. And if they ever get that, that'll be great. But for now, I feel like they're releasing more characters. And if the new V trigger comes in, I heard, I wasn't too sure. Yeah, that it would make the game a bit more sophisticated, where I think people may enjoy it more because you can create more combos, more different footsies when it becomes more sophisticated. And that's my opinion. And when it becomes harder, because everybody has stuff. Like me, when I play Blanka, some people that know how I play Blanka, oh, he got hit with a lap tree special. And that kind of codes into your personality. Oh, that's a Sako combo. You kind of need that. There is no Sako combos or anything in Street Fighter 5 yet. So hopefully with the new V trigger that they're going to make it more sophisticated. And if they do, I think a lot of people would slowly come back. But I feel, yeah, you need your original characters there, though. Yeah.
I hear you on both points. I've had this conversation with a number of players who said something very similar. So hopefully Capcom have been listening. I think they have been listening. I'm really looking forward to AE. All right. Before I let you go, I want, because you're a businessman, right? I want to talk to you about esports, because people talk about it all the time. I have my own point of view, but this is your interview. Esports is happening, right? So there's the FGC, and then there's esports, and then there's a whole bunch of people who are really worried, right? So what I want to know from you is, like, do you think esports is a good thing? Do you think it's going in the right direction? Like, what are your thoughts in general?
Well, esports, I think, first most, why is esports in? Why is esports coming into our fighting game community and every single community out there? Because you got to branch out. Traditional sports, I mean, they still have viewers, but esports is just growing at such a fast pace where why not jump in early? And if it blooms, we get a pretty big piece of the pie. Now, how a lot of FGC or tournaments may look at it is like, well, they're kind of invading on the territory. We've worked so long, so hard to get to where we are today, and these guys come in with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Some may look at it like, well, it's not very fair, right? And some may look at, well, this is a good opportunity. Now, for me, I look at it as, well, you may never have more money than them. And a lot of time, they're not going to collaborate with you because they're big companies. They could do it themselves, right? They may need you for some small items, but long term, if they're able to last the distance, esports, well, they want to take over, right? In my opinion, in order for us, a tournament, us to survive, you're losing market share is because of your tournament. It's not because of esports. You're already in. You already have more viewership and more attendees. You just got to make sure everybody returns the year after and your stream number keeps on increasing. You need to do whatever you can business-wise to make sure that they all come back. And that's what we're trying to work on. So eventually, it's going to correct itself, and some people are going to think it's a bad ROI. But at the same time, eventually, some FGC tournaments will want to move out, and it's just too much work for so less money, or you can't just do it as a passion, as a hobby for the next 10 years. So it's going to be very interesting on how it changes, and I feel it's going to be half-half. Some are going to stay in esports, and some are going to move out. It's just who. Are you going to last the distance? And what you're going to do to make sure that you grow as a business, because your tournament is a business. If you're not growing it, then you're losing money. And yeah.
But I mean, I guess, so here's the thing, right? As you grow, you got esport. People talk about them as two different entities, FGC and esports, right? Mm-hmm. But then there must be something in between. There must be a point where you are growing, like, let's say somebody comes along and says, let's put Canada Cup on TV, mm-hmm. and you still own the rights to it. Like, do you become esports? Like, that's really, the conversation gets really confusing. Like what people keep talking about it as two separate entities, and I'm wondering if there's something in between.
It's actually, I feel it's actually the same. Esports, FGC, just one company is coming in later. The other company is been there for a while, and they're trying to maintain. I find there's a way to be successful for both if you're able to merge. But usually it's harder to merge with esports just because they got so much money they may not need you. But we need each other. Mm-hmm. We have the clientele base. If an esports runs an event and you don't really know them, and they're just throwing money out, the pro players will be happy. But the local players are not going to be there. And the local players may not even watch, because a lot of them not just watch their celebrities, they want to watch their friends, not just all the pro players. But I feel we could work together. Some don't want to work together, and some want to just merge, and maybe they'll become one. Because I see tournaments being bought out, and like organizations being bought out as well. And it's coming down to that. And it may happen. You may be bought out. You may be bought out by like big company eventually, and you may work for that company. And that's happening. And you see like Amazon buying Twitch, and big companies are coming in. Maybe DreamHack will pick up like a lot of these companies, a lot of these like tournaments, FGC tournaments, and they're coming in slow, but they are esports. And it's up to you what you do to grow.
What is it? A lot of people talk about authenticity. Mm-hmm. The esports sort of brings with it this kind of Disney-esque kind of clean feel to it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's the way it's got to be in order for us to evolve, or do you think that there is a lot of opportunity to retain sort of authenticity, and what would that mean to you? What would that authenticity be?
Authenticity. That's kind of an interesting one here. Tournaments right now are authentic for FGC, because every tournament is slightly different. Some tournaments are a bit generic when you're coming in, and but we are very different from esports. Esports a lot of it looks they look the same. So viewership is like, well, I'm just watching pro players compete with each other professionally, and it's something I see every single weekend. What's special about this weekend? Well, maybe one of the FGC tournaments are up, and there's beef out there, or there is something they haven't seen in a while, so people tune in. But that also could be a bad thing if you're just esports looking exactly the same. But at the same time, like, if you want money from sponsors, what do? You can't be that authentic. You can't be that authentic. But so what direction do you pull? And there are those two directions. Yeah, you could be like, yo, this is hype, and these guys are popping off, and they got beef here, and it's really hard to tell which side you should be on. Me, we should just continue doing what we're doing. We have our after party, and that's completely FGC side. Well, we're also trying to integrate in to ensure that we get sponsors and being authentic. Like, that's hard to do. That's new, but for TOs out there, hopefully you could find your own line of where to be, and as well as we are. Yeah.
Just keep growing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. All right. So it's been a pleasure talking to you. I guess my final question for you is: so you got your business, you've got Canada Cup, you've got your kids. Is there any other little window into your life that's kind of interesting? Like, or do you not have time? Is that everything that takes up enough time, or do you do any other stuff? You got any little hobbies or things like that?
I always have hobbies, and I don't want to shy away from challenges. That's always like a couple months ago, I had a kickboxing match.
You did?
Yeah, I had a kickboxing match with a buddy of mine. We went 3 rounds. It was filmed, but I never released it on social media. But stuff like that I would do.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won.
Oh my God! You have to release it on social media.
Well, I'll talk to him because it's more. I'm giving. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but maybe I will. I tried to release it in a couple of streams where I had some pro players or going to commentate for me because there was no commentary on it. But maybe we'll go back to that. Let me know if people really want to see it. I'll ask the guy I got into a match with, if I can release it. I think he should be fine. It's been a while, but at 41, that was rough, man. Preparing for it and dieting, eating clean, no drinking. Wow, that's like.
Have you done kickboxing for a number of years?
No.
It was just a thing. Just one day, you and your friend were just like, let's do this.
Let's do this, and then we had 3 weeks to prepare.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I want to see it. I want to see it.
So it's very amateurish, and you'll be like, oh, they're amateurs, but no, it was very entertaining. And then other than stuff like that, I just I always try something new just to spice up your life a little bit. Stuff like that. That's why I play Street Fighter. I play in tournaments and other hobbies. Yeah, I've done a number of things like I golf a little, not too good, but stuff I want to pinpoint and being the best is like esports, video games, hospitality, being the #1 drinker. Who wants to challenge me? Stuff like that. It's obsession sometimes to maybe try to be the best, but actually it helps us get where we want to be. I think anyway.
I think I agree with you, and I think that's inspiring. I think we're about to run out of tape. Listen to me. I'm such an oldie. We're going to run out of tape. But I want to say thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And if there's anything you want to say to people, say it now.
Well, check us out, Canada Cup Gaming. Support us. Come out next year. See if you can make it out and check what this Canadian hospitality is. But if you'd like to get a hold of me for anything, you could Twitter me at lapchiduong. At lapchiduong, and same at Facebook. But thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the interview.
See you guys.